Genius Kids. Cultivating love for learning.
Chapter 11. The Kidnapping. Anju was a young girl of 11. She promised her mother to babysit her 10-month-old baby sister Preeti while their mother had to go for a flower show. Anju's friends persuaded her to go with them to the park for a kite flying contest, taking the baby with them in a maroon-colored pram. The children were so engrossed in the contest that they forgot about Preeti. When the troop flushed back with success and glowing with happiness, they got a shock. The pram was not there. It had disappeared. Anju was shocked. Gone. Where has the pram gone? How did the pram walk? She was not usually panicky sort, but at that time she shrieked so long and hard that Raju and Saurabh came dashing across. What is wrong? Anju cried that the pram Preeti gone. Word meaning: engrossed, filled completely the time and attention of, shock, a violent impact or blow, panicky, filled with terror, shrieked, cried piercingly. What? It was really awful. The joy of their victory was suddenly deflated like a balloon by the terrible fact that the little Preeti was missing. Raju did his best to calm Anju. No need to panic, we'll find her, he said. He continued, Anju, are you sure that Preeti can't walk? Anju was bursting in tears and said, no, she can't, she is too small for it. She shook her head tearfully and pointed down the slope. Maybe she. The hill sloped steeply at least 100 feet into a thick undergrowth to trees and shrubs. Saurabh went to the edge and peered down. Yes, it is quite possible. The pram might have rolled down on its own, he shuddered. All of them were really worried. They all felt something in their stomach. It was fear which rolled like a lead ball. They all hurried down the slope in search of the baby. It was all dark, thorny undergrowth. They searched for a long time. It was a fruitless search when Raju said, thank God. The pram is not here. It means it hasn't rolled down. But where is it then? Anju asked as they panted up the slope. Anju prayed to God silently. Oh God! I hope this all is a dream and we would find Preeti in the pram happily asleep. But as they reached up, the space below the tree was bare. Has she vanished into the air? Said Saurabh. He kept quiet for a second and then said, let us face it, Anju, Preeti has been kidnapped. And Anju bursted into a flood of tears. There was no sign anywhere of the maroon-colored pram. Raju looked towards Anju with troubled eyes and said, this is a serious matter. Anju, we should better to go and tell about it to your mother. Word meaning: deflated, collapsed, peered, looked intently, thorny, having thorns, fruitless, producing no result, useless. All of them cycled off towards the Lal Bagh where the flower show was being held. Anju's mother had gone there. On their way, Saurabh asked, Anju, do your parents have enough money? Why? She asked. Kidnappers usually demand a huge ransom, he said as if he knew. 10 lakhs or even more. Anju was unaware of her father's earnings. He worked in an office. But she said bravely, I guess we can manage. Finally, they were at the flower show. Anju spotted her mother in a huge group of ladies, all very excited over the flowers. She called, Mummy, Mummy. Her mother swiveled round and looked at her. Anju? Why are you here? And where is Preeti? Gone. She is kidnapped, Mummy, Anju said with a stammering voice. It is all my fault. I took her in the pram to the hilly slope where Mother screamed even louder than Anju when she had found that the pram was missing. They all drove to the police station in Mrs. Pathak's car. Raju and Saurabh followed on their cycles. At the police station, Mother flounced into the main office crying, "Preeti! Preeti!" It took several policemen and a glass water to calm her. One of the police officers said, "Relax, madam. What is the matter?" "How can I relax when some cruel villain has kidnapped my child?" she shouted. The officer uncurled in his chair. "Kidnap?" He told to one of his big burly policemen, "Malhotra, get the details. Preeti, my little baby." Word meaning: ransom. To obtain the release of a captive in return for money. Swiveled, rotated freely, stammering, speaking with involuntary pauses, flounced, went or moved with agitated movements. "Calm down, madam, and tell me everything." "Gone." "Kidnapped." "Where?" "She was in the pram." "Pram?" "So, she must be very young." Preeti, she is just 10 months old," and she burst in tears. The police officer's face was red. She was not giving any proper information about the missing baby. The officer said, "Look, don't waste our time. Give me clear details." Anju said, "Sir, I will explain it to you," and she said all the related events clearly. "This was really very careless of you, girl," said the police officer looking sternly at Anju. "We have got your address and phone number, madam. It is best for you to go home. I'll contact you as soon as we have some news," the officer said kindly to the mother. He led them to the door. They all drove home in the car, and again Raju and Saurabh followed them. This was a miserable bunch never seen before. As they had just got back, the doorbell rang. It was Mrs. Francis from the next door. She was a close friend of Mother. She lived next door. As Mother opened the door, she fell into the arms of Mrs. Francis and weeping, "Preeti, my little baby is kidnapped," she cried like a child. But Mrs. Francis was not at all shocked. Instead, she was smiling as Mother related the tragedy to her. And as everybody looked at her in shocked disbelief, she was most amazing. She burst into laughter. "Preeti is not lost. She's not kidnapped, my dear," she said and wheeled the pram in from behind the front door. There was Preeti chuckling away. The mother cuddled and kissed her for at least 10 minutes and then asked, "How did you find her?" Word meaning: sternly, strictly, tragedy, a calamity, chuckling, to laugh quietly, cuddle, hugged tenderly. "Yes, I'll tell you about the mystery," she started narrating the incident. "I had gone for my usual walk in the park when I saw the pram under the tree," she explained further. "Preeti was crying and I realized that she was hungry, but since the children were too busy with kite flying, I wheeled her home, gave her milk and waited for you. Oh, thank God, my baby is safe." "You are a wonderful friend, dear," said Mother, wiping her tears from her eyes.
Like, share and subscribe.